In my quest to review as many nostalgic Flash games as possible before it meets its inevitable doom at the end of, guess I should have got to this a lot quicker. I was pressing hard to remember a certain specific Flash game I played oh so long ago. I knew it was called Ray something. So I took to trusty old Google and began scavenging. Oh, that didn't take long. Thought it would have been a bit more climactic than that, but I'll take it, I guess. Ray, what a boring, dull, unimaginative name for a video game. Or maybe not. It clearly left a memorable impression on me, but after all this time later, is it still worth remembering? Let's find out. Ray. Just saying that name in combination with looking at this game takes me back. It reminds me of all the time I spent on Newgrounds, E-Bombs World, and Funny Junk in my late elementary, early middle school days. If you were bored or slacking off on the computer during class, you could always count on some Flash games or videos to make the time pass quicker. Adventure Quest, Interactive Buddy, Punk-O-Matic, Fancy Pants Adventures, Torture Game, Line Rider, Habbo Hotel. Need I say more? It's crazy to me that almost every person can recall playing at least one of these games, and I'm just scratching the surface. Before replaying Ray for the first time in long over a decade, I remembered it as a sort of hidden gem B-tier level game. I saw my friends playing Ray and even fellow classmates playing it too, but from then to now, I still never see or hear Ray mentioned in the same light as all these other highly respected Flash games. Why is that? Well, it can't be because of the aesthetic. That's one of the standout features of Ray, the South Park style graphics. Ray came out October 22nd, 2003. This is around the same time period of what I'd personally call the golden years of South Park episodes, season 6 and 7 to be exact. A whole bunch of classic gems from this early 2000s time period. The Ladder to Heaven episode, Professor Chaos, Faith Plus One, and even the infamous Fellowship of the Ring episode. So needless to say, South Park was red hot during this time. However, Ray's obvious theft of South Park's complete and total art style wasn't something that was frowned upon, it's what drew people to it. Thumbnails were important long before when YouTube was around. Scrolling through the thousands upon thousands of Flash games online, Ray sticks out like a sore thumb. In a good way, of course. Graphics aside, let's talk about the gameplay. Ray plays out like an interactive choose-your-own-adventure thing. Their words, not mine. The closest modern-day equivalent I can think to is the Telltale Walking Dead series, Life is Strange, and, I guess, to a certain extent, visual novel Dating Sims. Watch a scene play out, make a choice, and roll with the punches of what happens next based on what you did. Although the premise sounds similar to many other games, Ray executes them in a one-of-a-kind way, albeit a bit strange. There's a wide spectrum of scenarios and even more decisions to make. What you choose doesn't matter in the moment or even down the line for the most part. Let me tell you why. Okay, so here's our first act, if you will. Homeless guy outside a restaurant asking for some money. Two options that are clearly good and two options that are clearly bad. Whichever option you pick gives you the same result. Regardless if you treat him like dirt or give him money, the outcomes are different, but the results are the same. I think I just sprained a brain muscle. The next scene loads in the same for each result. It's a false sense of progression and personalization. This absolutely kills me because this could have been so easily avoidable if more scenarios and outcomes were added, because in reality, if you play this game once, if you play Ray a single time, you've essentially experienced all that Ray has to offer just based on that one playthrough. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't tell you that not all choices are like this, but a lot of them are. They either conclude with the same result or have two branching options, with one being the correct choice and the other being a dead-end game over. Once again, pigeonholing any idea of freedom you actually have. What kind of choose-your-own adventure is that? An adventure that lacks any sort of adventure. Even though the gameplay of Ray is deceptive, the content within it is actually pretty decent. Nearly all the enjoyment derived from Ray can be attributed to its over-the-top violence and mature subject matter. While once again similar to South Park, it's not as blatant as a copy-paste effort like the art style is. It definitely has its own identity. Whether it's sudden, needlessly dramatic murders or nonsensical, ridiculous actions, I'm not even sure I can show on YouTube. Ray provides laughs that are brought out of genuine humor, and also in spite of itself. In my best effort to preserve your personal gameplay experience, should you choose to go have one based off this video, I'm just going to talk about a few specific moments that stuck out to me. There's a part where a person who has information is being overly tight-lipped, and it's your job to make them spill the truth. After doing so, one of the actions you can do before you leave is to, yeah. Another memorable example being when you sneakily enter a mansion. It's so overcompensating, with gory deaths and embarrassing attempts at making Rey look like a worry-free, gun-toting badass. Everything has to involve someone getting choked, or stabbed, or bludgeoned, or shot. I don't even feel like I'm playing a game or watching a movie. I feel like I'm watching the creation of someone trying to work out some inner demons. It's the complete randomness and absurdity of things going on, combined with the severity of the current task at hand, is what helps to break down the barriers of cringe and let me laugh at these stupid things as some simple dumb fun. The lone redeeming quality of Rey is the silliness that it embraces in full force, but I think what keeps Rey from being a quality game, in my personal opinion, is the reward, or lack thereof. You've probably noticed throughout the video that once I finished a scene, a number would appear. These are points. You may be asking yourself, why the hell would points matter in a choose-your-own-adventure game? Where I reply, I agree with you. 10,000%. Despite there only being one definitive concrete ending to Rey, this poorly slapped together point system is meant to judge and score how you played. This is the substitute for different endings. Why? Like, actually why? I can't understand why this is a thing. This tells me the dev prioritized his view of your experience on the game over your experience on the game. Like, his opinion on your opinion matters more over your opinion. It's so bizarre, it's hard to wrap my mind around. Not to mention the points you get don't add themselves up. You're supposed to manually keep track yourself, then pick the category you fall under at the end. These player classifications don't add anything. They take away. What's the point of making my own choices if all they lead down is the same path, only for that path to end with me being called a dumb shit dickhead and a fucking gimp? I don't get it. In a game where choices are supposed to matter, you have to make choices matter. Why not make my interactions with the homeless man from the beginning either come back to haunt me or help me down the line? Anything besides nothing. Really flesh out these characters, give different choices, different paths, gah! But with every great game comes a better sequel, right? You get out of here. Around the corner and less than a year later, released September 2004, stands Rey Part 2. Kicking things off, we have a warning. Kinda surprising to see based on how the last game went, but whatever. This movie contains more detail than the first and may lag for some viewers. If you have a computer that is below 800 megahertz, then you should probably change the detail to low or medium in the options. If you're confident your computer can handle it anyway, click continue. I think I might be screwed. One thing that really took me by surprise was the amount of innovation. Instead of playing it safe, aiming to strictly appease the fans of the first Rey, there's a ton of new features here intended to enhance the gameplay, story, and world of Rey. Instead of a repeated pattern of a cutscene followed by a choice selection, we have minigames, shooting segments, and even an overworld. Color me impressed. We still do have the tried and true roots of Rey here with the numerous occasions where you're put in a what will you do now situation, but it's not the prime focus. Instead of it being the only thing you do, it's about a third of what you do. The only thing I dislike about this trade-off is that I feel a lot more disconnected from everything. Not that it's done poorly or the bonds with each aspect are non-existent, but everything moves so fast. Right when I think I'm about to get invested with a certain character, it's time to shoot some guns. Right when I think I got the shooting nailed down, preparing myself for the next wave of enemies, we switch off to some other characters I have no time to establish an interest in. Things go so fast, like boom, boom, boom. There's no breathing room for any of the characters or gameplay to develop into something that means more or make it more sociable. There is a fair balance of decision making for the original Rey fans and the new additions to draw in a wider audience. I feel a real sense of an attempt to make this game as grandiose as possible. It's very evident how much time and effort was spent to not only make this a great game, but a worthy successor to the original Rey. As welcoming as these new expansions are, we're unfortunately plagued with these same issues. The story is still incredibly linear, splitting options funnel out to a similar outcome, and this shitty fucking scoring system as the true ending. I'm mixed on how I feel about Rey Part 2. We have all the quality things that made the first Rey fun, the over-the-top violence and absurd humor, but also the bad things as well, the most obvious being the dump-ass scoring system. Lots of good, lots of bad, and lots of new. All good things come in threes, right? That's a saying I'm sure someone has said at some point in time. Heading into Rey 3, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I didn't even know there was a third Rey until I actually started working on this video. Not gonna lie, I was pretty excited to try this out. What did they change, what was added, and what was expanded upon? The answer is, drumroll please, nothing! I know this will sound like I'm over-exaggerating, but Rey Part 3 is nothing more than a 10-minute long cutscene. What the hell? What happened? The introduction does tell us that this in fact is not Rey Part 3 despite being called Ray Part 3, with the content here intended to show us the events both before and after Ray Part 2, which is fine. I'm down for a little more context in my games, but what kind of sequel is this? You could stick me in a think tube for a million years, and I never would have thought that this is what would become of Ray. Sadly, Ray Part 3 was the final game, if you want to call it that, to be released in the series, closing the door on any hopes and dreams of Ray receiving a proper third and final entry in the series. I'm so legitimately baffled on how Ray Part 3 ended. This couldn't have been the intended conclusion for how this series was supposed to end. I just refuse to believe that. So, I started to do some digging. What better way to start digging than to research who made Ray? Ray was made by Phil J.C., also known as Phil Collins. What just happened? Phil doesn't have nearly as much content uploaded as I thought he would. Outside of all things Ray related, he has 4 videos uploaded. That's it. 3 of the 4 uploads are military-themed videos. These all hold a common brutality that feels very Ray-esque. I Miss You Daddy stands out as a very wholesome, tear-jerking video. It's about a young girl having a hypothetical conversation with her father who passed away on 9/11. Because of the ludicrous nature of Ray, I thought this was a meme video, like at some point something was going to pop up and make a huge joke out of everything, but that moment never happened. It's literally just a video of a young girl being sad over her father's passing. What the fuck? More stumped than ever, I took to Google. A dead Twitter page, if this is even his, and some forum posts here and there. You'd think someone named Phil Collins would have more of an online footprint, but I guess not. Huh. Strange. Whoever this guy is, he either legitimately has one of the weakest online presences ever relative to the success they had, or doesn't want to be known at all, which, in that case, I'll respect their wishes. That's it. That's Ray. Heading into this, I thought I was simply going to make fun of that old Flash game that had crappy South Park graphics, but I got way more out of this than I expected. Getting to relive some nostalgic memories is something I'll never take for granted. I said this before, but I'll say it again. If you're going to play any of the Ray games, play the first one. It's the best way to introduce yourself to the series and really digest what it's all about. The nonsense, the violence, the laughs. If you do play and like Ray, then try the second after would be my honest recommendation, but do not by any stretch of the imagination give Ray Part 3 the time of day at all. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys on the next video. See ya.